Well, we can't get you all together because you're too busy these days, so I'm coming to you. I'm going to be giving you this short introduction to several issues that I think we want to look at over the next few days. And I want you to take a look at it and watch it because when I show up on site, and I will, I'm going to be asking you about it and how you can be applying it. Today, we're going to look at several different issues around what we call leader standard behaviors and skills. And we are going to look at, in particular, the idea of what the perfect day is, setting expectations, schedule control, and dealing with variances. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So let's review where we're at. We lead weekly project review meetings, and that's happening at about 80%. We still don't have full regular attendance, or if people can't make it, they aren't sending in reports for how their week went the previous week. Tracking setup time, we've got about 90% compliance on that. Some setup times are still not being entered. Tracking fueling time just isn't happening at all, and we'll probably circle back and discuss whether or not that's a metric that we need to discuss whatsoever. Completing daily reports, we have 100% compliance with that, and in terms of producing daily performance reports per project, we have 100% compliance but 0% effectiveness, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. If your performance reports don't really speak to the performance that's happening on that job or on that contract, then we're missing the boat on that. So we'll look at that in more detail. So we're going to be looking at leader standard behaviors. We went over that with you a couple of months ago, or a month and a half ago, I guess. And typical leader standard behaviors would be things like making assignments, giving direction, following up, providing feedback, either positive or negative. This is an area that a lot of people struggle with. Coaching and supporting. How do you enhance your team? How do you help each of those people realize their goal, either their goals or the utilization of the skills that they bring to your group? Solving problems, what's really wrong and how can we resolve it? And reporting, how did we perform? Today we're going to be looking at making assignments as part of this lesson. And we're also going to look at what we call leader standard skills. And those are things like schedule control, schedule and assign work in logical pieces, walking the floor, which is not just a wandering around type of activity. Variance management, and if you haven't heard of that before, you're going to become very familiar with it. But basically looking for the issues that are getting in the way of you and your team performing to their optimum. Startup and end of shift. Some of you are doing this already in terms of your toolbox meetings in the morning. Some are doing some things at the end of the day, but it's not happening consistently, but that's good. Things are definitely happening there. Review meetings. So our Tuesday foreman meeting is our first crack at doing a review meeting, but we're still collecting enough data to actually review performance from that perspective. And then operating reports. What's the dashboard of my business performance? How are me and my crew performing every day? And then the idea of visualizing the perfect day. And what we'll do in this lesson is we're going to look at that perfect day exercise, as well as schedule control and variance management. These are all the first pieces that really make for effective leadership as you move throughout your day. So perfect day really is nothing more than a simple visualization exercise where you visualize what a perfect day would look like. Now that typically is something that you either have figured out the night before at the end of the previous day, or you're thinking about it on your way into the site. It's the sort of thing where you have an idea of what you want to accomplish, and you know what, it seems obvious, and maybe some of you do this already without thinking about it, but there are probably far more leaders who get onto their job site and have no idea of what that perfect day is going to look like, and it's just sort of rote but not real intention happening with respect to how they drive stuff. So whether it's a silt fence or drilling on the West Fraser project, it's important as a leader that you have a good idea of what you want your day to look like. Sometimes it's straightforward, but you still need to break it into pieces for your crew so that they know what your vision for the day is. Then we move into setting expectations. Once you have an idea of what your perfect day looks like, it's way easier for you to set expectations for your crew. So set goals. Take your perfect day and break it into bite-sized chunks so that everybody knows what piece they own and how that fits into how you're going to achieve that perfect day plan. And invite engagement. You may know how long each task takes, but rather than telling somebody how long you expect them to do it in, invite them into the conversation by asking them how long they think it's going to take them, and then make sure they understand that you're going to hold them accountable to that. Now they're owning the timing of it and not you. That's a big piece and a really important approach to remember. And then communicate your approach. Once you've agreed on what your time estimates are going to be, let them know that you're going to be coming through the site on a regular basis to see where they are at on that task. And that's really important so that there's no surprises. And this is where a lot of people get stuck on the idea of micromanagement. This is not micromanagement. This is managing for performance, a very different concept altogether. That leads to the next leadership skill, which is schedule control. So have you ever come to the end of the day and discovered your crew did not complete what you had assigned that day? This is what schedule control is all about, managing the schedule and performance before it's too late. When you get to 3:30 in the afternoon and you realize that your crew are not going to hit the targets that you had sort of envisioned for them, there's very little you can do at that point. So what you need to do is develop what we call SICs, or short interval controls, to walk the site and check on schedule compliance. You've set expectations, you've agreed on timing and schedule with each of your crew members, and now what you need to do is check in on them on a regular basis, frequently throughout the day, to make sure that they've got the tools and resources they need in order to achieve those timelines that they've discussed with you. If you don't do it until the end of the day, there's no way for you to control the outcome. That's why those short interval controls are so crucial to driving performance on your crew on a daily basis. When you visualize your perfect day and you've set expectations and you follow up with short interval controls, you will for sure run into issues that will threaten you reaching those daily goals. These are called variances. Quite simply, most leaders see these as problems, but you're getting training in operational excellence and you will come to see them as opportunities. You need to start tracking these variances or these issues, because you're going to discover some trends or issues that take up a big chunk of your variances. These are gold, and that now you have a chance to problem solve with your crew and fellow foremen on Tuesdays in terms of how to remove them. We use something known as the Pareto chart, and Wilfredo Pareto was an Italian mathematician who discovered some ratios that are actually pretty solid all the way through. And what you will discover is that 80% of your challenges are caused by 20% of your variances. Discovering and dealing with that 20% is key to effective leadership and control, and it will help you really stay on top of your schedule throughout the day. So here's what we've learned so far. Visualize your perfect day. What does that look like? What do you want it to be? Set expectations and invite the crew to engage with you on the challenge. Develop a strong routine of schedule control through your daily SICs. And identify, track, and deal with the variances that are your biggest challenge. If you can be successful at developing these particular skills and behaviors, this will put you miles ahead of most leaders in this kind of work. And so that's the things that we're going to be discussing as I come around in the next couple of weeks, is how these things are happening for you and where you're tracking them. I'll also be sending out some information here with this PowerPoint, just to let you know what I'm going to be looking for, and I've also provided some input in terms of things that you should be starting to think about tracking now as foreman for the different jobs that you've been doing. So that's our quick lesson. It's 9 minutes, nothing that's too taxing, well, 10 minutes I guess, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. Have a good one.